Greetings, my friends. I know we're near the end of 9th edition, but today I wanted to look at the best Flesh Tearers and the best Blood Angel list from Warhammer Fest 2023 tournament. This was like a 350 player tournament, and there was two pretty significant lists that finished pretty high. So if you're still looking for some inspiration onto how to build a list in 9th edition, or you're looking for something crazy to get into in 10th edition, then hopefully this video is going to be for you. Let's get into it. So welcome, my friends, and thanks for being here. Let's check out the best lists from Fest 2023. And I want to start by talking about this Flesh Tearers list. This list I found out about that had 3 Brutalis Dreadnoughts and started investigating it. Turns out, after I'd done this investigation, this list belongs to Joe, who's part of Liam Dempsey's YouTube channel. Now, Liam has given me a shout out on his channel before, so I figured I'd return the favour. If Joe has his own channel, then I don't know about it. But I'm sure if you drop past Liam and ask, then you could figure out where he is. This is an interesting list. When I first looked at it, I was like, oh my god, what's all these troops? I don't even know if Flesh Tearers can take double swords. But I assume his double sword guys are his Blade Guard veterans. And this list runs double Judicaire, 3 Brutalises, and some other madness. And I think this would actually be a pretty scary list to run against, and it's not something that I've ever... I mean, the Brutalis is brand new, so I only have one of them. It's still not off its sprue, to be fair. So props to Joe for getting all these 3 ready. Let's check out the list then. So he doesn't take any relics, but he does take a Warlord trait and 2 Heroes of the Chapter. We take Seth with his Warlord trait. Seth went down in points, but he is foot slogging, and I guess I'm not a huge fan of that. But anyway, we know Seth's a bit of a monster. 130 points. He's taking a Librarian and Phobos Armor, bringing Unleash Rage and Shield of Sanguinius. So Unleash Rage is going to be pretty useful. I think it's the best psychic power Blood Angels have access to in 9th edition, or Flesh Tearers in that sense. It lets us get exploding 6s on any unit. It would be very good on Death Company, Blade Guard vets. I mean, I may even be tempted to use it on a Brutalis at some point. And then we have the Sanguinary Priest with Selfless Healer. We all know what that does. We got 2 Assault Intercessor squads with the Thunderhammers on the Sergeants. We have 6 Blade Guards times 2, so potentially 12 Blade Guard veterans. I've been talking a lot about running 12 Blade Guard veterans in 10th edition, so interesting to see that he's ahead of the curve. In terms of like having something that's pretty durable and useful, I think Blade Guard veterans obviously make sense. He's running 2 Judicaires, so arguably both sets of Blade Guard veterans could be accompanied by a Fight Last character. Any of the Brutalises could also be accompanied by a Fight Last character as well. All 3 Brutalises he has the Talons, so that's the improved melee combat, and then multi-meltas. I think if you're going to field Brutalises, I would definitely think the multi-meltas are the right call. I think the Brutalis might be a little point expensive. It never got an FAQ since it came out. 200 points for me seemed a tad too high. We also have a Death Company, so this is 1 jump unit with 4 jump packs, so that's basically like his Forlorn Fury threat. Obviously there's loads of buffs he can give that Death Company. He can give them Chapter Master rerolls, he can give them Unleash Rage, he can put them in Assault Doctrine with Sanguinary Priest. So that Death Company is going to be very useful, and 4 Thunderhammers mean 20 Thunderhammers in turn 1 if you get the Assault Doctrine off. The 2 Judicaires sort of round out the list, and then a Primaris Ancient. And although this isn't my list, and obviously this is not my list, this is Joe's list, but when I look at a list like this, I typically want to try and like optimize to the best of my ability. And the thing that maybe stood out to me was like, we're super close in this list to be having a Sanguinary Ancient, and the Sanguinary Ancient would potentially give +1 to core units within 6 to hit. And while I definitely don't want to backseat drive this list, the Primaris Ancient to me is fine. He's going to give you like a chance to fight on death on a 4-up. However, the Sanguinary Ancient could just be better, giving a bunch of units +1 to hit. To do that, I suppose you'd have to drop like a Blade Guard veteran, and you might have to drop like the Librarian and Phobos Armor. The only way I can see of doing it is run a regular Primaris Librarian because he's 5 points cheaper. So I think you could do it. You could find the 40 points. I don't know. Maybe if Joel sees this video, he can let us know why he preferred the Primaris Ancient. But for me, I think the Sanguinary Ancient might just be a little bit better. Plus, he's also a brilliant character for Rites of War. And as far as I can see, everything in this list is going to have the core keyword core or character keyword. So Rites of War here would potentially mean that whoever's near the Sangre Ancient is OBSEC. Yes, that would cost him a CP to do, but I think it could be cool. But regardless, I love this Flesh Tears list. It feels to me like it's thought about outside the box. I've been saying Blood Angels need a way to be durable. This brings some durability and also still brings a lot of killing power. And this list did really well. Let's see what... I got some data on this list. So, like I said, I had to find out... I was trying to find out whose list this was. I heard Flesh Tears had 3 Brutalises, and I was like, I need to find out. And it went 5-1. So I wanted to find out. And it was Joe from Liam Dempsey. I put a link to his channel here. I'll put one in the video description as well. Shout out to Liam. He gave me a shout out before. He likes to call me the British Airways Commander. Trust me, we don't command any aircraft. We just command Blood Angels. Anyway, check out his channel. He's a genuinely good guy. I've watched him a bunch of times. And then Joe does his battle reports. So if you're on his channel, click on his live, you'll be able to see some of his battle reports. Let's talk about Joe's list then. It's got a ton of combat units. I mean, it's all combat. It makes up for the lack of no shooting, really, in terms of a combat list, because you've got 3 Brutalises, each with basically twin multi-meltas. So you do get like 12 melta shots out of this list, which is pretty nice, considering it's primarily combat. It's a bit more durable than typical like Blood Angels lists. He's got those 2 fight lasts and a potential fight on death with the Sangre Ancient. Obviously, the Primaris Ancient. Obviously, it's not 100% reliability fight on death, and it's only 1 attack. But, I mean, it's still there. He's got the Alpha Sight potential. I talked about the crazy buffs that we could put on there. He's also got the Dreadnoughts. And I think, honestly, when the new 10th edition box comes, one of the first things I'm going to be doing is making Brutalis Dreadnoughts and Ballistus Dreadnoughts. I love Dreadnoughts. They've been less popular for Blood Angels in 9th edition, but they're still usable. They've still been good. 8th edition, we saw a good number of Dreadnoughts. I probably got more Dreadnoughts than any other unit. So yeah, more Dreadnoughts. 3 Brutalis just seems to me flavorful and fun. And at the end of the edition, if you're not having fun, then what are you bothering with, I feel like. So it's great to see a list with 3 Brutalises. And I really think it's unorthodox. So like, people wouldn't necessarily know how to fight this because no one else is running it. And that's one of the things that I like doing as well. I think that's why I did well with my Guilliman list. I like running lists that no one else is running, because it's fine to just look and go like, oh well, everyone's running this list, so it must be good. But half the fun for me is figuring out a list that's strong and it'll play the way you want it to play. So props on Joe for coming up with this. The weaknesses, the things I don't like, I guess. Seth is foot slogging. That's always a problem with the Flesh Tears. Usually we see people take drop pods or something. Maybe if he ever gets a Primaris model, he could get a jump pack. That would be nice, wouldn't it? He's got very minimum mortal wound protection. It's much slower than your typical Blood Angels list. He's traded speed for durability. There's no Sangre Guard, which is, to me, a little bit sad. I mean, you could have had that one Sangre Ancient, and then that could have kind of counted, I guess. But, yeah, no Sangre Guard, which is almost unheard of. Everybody's running Sangre Guard since the Infernal Pistols became free. There's minimal OBSEC, but I think that could be fixed. And I think that having the Rites of War, fast-moving Ancient here might have actually been really useful. But he went 5-1. I haven't gone 5-1 for a tournament in a while. Like, not for like a year. I feel like I was good last season, but I've struggled this season. And one of the reasons I've struggled is it's tough to pick secondaries right now. And I feel like Flesh Tears don't have great secondaries either. So, yeah, another reason to love Joe's list here. I know that most of the stuff we cover on this channel is Blood Angels, but this is a gorgeous list. This is interesting. I think Flesh Tears are super cool. I like covering their lists. And yeah, if anyone's ever got questions or feedback about Flesh Tears, I'm happy to do that as well. I actually think Blood Angels contrast red paint looks more like the Flesh Tears colour than the Blood Angels colour. Anyway, if you're enjoying this video so far this week, guys, please like, share, subscribe, and if you want to, a final shout out for Liam, go check out his channel as well. I know he's doing a lot of content coming into 10th edition. I will be doing a lot of content coming into 10th edition. My content will mainly, I was going to say fully, which is like wholly and mainly in one word. My content will mostly be Blood Angels, maybe with a dabbling of Flesh Tears. Liam will cover everything, so if you want to check out a more general hobby channel by a genuinely nice guy, then you could check out Liam's channel. Anyway, let's go on to the best Blood Angels list from Warhammer Fest. And this was by, I'm not going to try and pronounce his second name. I think it's Alejandro. And he came 27th, so 10 places higher than Joe, and this was out of about 350 people. And this list reminds me of a 9th edition Blood Angels list with a kind of a little sprinkling of Imperial Knights. So we've got the new Dante, and teamed up with a Sanguinary Priest who is basically Teeth of Terror, Rites of War. We've got 3 squads of infiltrators taking up the point of, hey, we're going to screen the entire side of the board. We've got the 2 Death Company, the one with hammers and one with infernal pistols and jump packs. We've got that Sanguinary Ancient, this time with Soul Warden and Wrath of Baal, giving us more movement and protection against mortal wounds. We've got 3 times 5-man squads of Sanguinary Guard, all with infernal pistols. It's worth noting this list went 5-1 as well. And occasionally, I think just the other week, somebody said in Reddit that Sanguinary Guard need to be ran in 7s. And I think if the infernal pistols stay as they are, where they're cheap, or maybe if you just want to run Sanguinary Guard cheap, 5 Sanguinary Guard with infernal pistols and swords is probably just as good as 7s. And let me tell you my reasoning. Unless, of course, you do what I do, where I think last week I had 10 infernal pistols and I whiff all of them and did like no damage. I guess that's the only reason that swords and axes or more guys is going to come out on top. For the most part, if you have your Sanguinary Guard near your Warlord with some sort of rerolls, then 5 infernal pistols will probably make up. You know, you only need 1 infernal pistol to go through, and that's probably going to average about 5 damage, which is the equivalent of like 1 or 2 Sanguinary Guard, right? If you roll hot, if you roll average, it's probably the equivalent of 1 or 2 Sanguinary Guard. So if you assume that will happen most of the time, then if you still got 5 guys that are going to attack on the charge, you're probably good to go. So I think you can run Sanguinary Guard in 5s. I've been doing it now for a whole season, ever since they made War Gear free, and I guess other people have cottoned on now. I think it's, you know, we probably may get back to a point where we say if you're running bolters, you want 7 Sanguinary Guard, but if you're running infernal pistols, you can probably get away with 5. He also has a Vanguard Veteran squad with jump packs, grav pistols, lightning claws, and a relic blade. Interesting choice of Vanguard Veteran squad. We've got the Whirlwind in there for the all-important fight last. We have 2 Armigers, and these are Mysterious Guardians, which means these guys deploy off the board, but you can bring them in turn 1 from Strategic Reserve. So they give up any shooting buffs or any other buffs they might have, but this gives them the ability to be flexible. You don't need to try and hide them at the start. You can just bring them in and shoot. And it is the Helverin variant, so you've got those pretty nasty 2d3, strength 7, -1, 3 damage autocannons, I believe. And then the final thing, the elephant in the room, and this is something I didn't even know about, was you can take a single Acolyte. An Acolyte is an agent of the Imperium. He can be in a squad size of 1 for 10 points. He has a chainsword and a las pistol. He's like a toughness 3 guy with 1 wound. Why on earth you would need a 10-point Acolyte is questionable, but if he is the only guy you take, if you just take him in a squad size of 1, then he gets Look Out Sir. So you just have 1 single guy, and I don't know the play around him. Like, he's not going to be retrieving data. The only thing I can think he might be doing is holding an objective that you want to move everything else off of later in the game when they have no indirect fire or something like that. Or maybe he was used for a bit of screening wherever you can't screen with your infiltrators. It seems mad, but considering how many times we get to the end of a list and someone's got 10 points, the fact that we're like 3 years into the edition and I've never seen this kind of boggles my mind. I think if more people knew this, I mean, I might have used this if I had 10 points free, just to be like, well, I'll just take, you know, yeah, especially earlier in the edition when we had like Sisters of Battle taking 2, what are they called? The guys, Crusader? Is it Crusaders? The ones with the swords and storm shields to do like retrieve battlefield data? God, if I'd known I could have taken an Acolyte for 10 points, that would have... I actually don't know what size the Acolyte's base is, but I guess it would be 25mm. You could look that up if you wanted to. But this is a much more... You know, like some people... We talk about Blood Angel's biggest strength as being speed. Well, this is still 4 units of basically 3 Sangard, the Vanguard Vets, and then 2 Death Companies. So 30 jump units with the Ancient. That's about as speedy as it gets. You want to bring some fire support now, I get that, so Helverins fit a good role. Hopefully some of the new Space Marine stuff's going to fit a good role and we're not going to need to buy Knights. And obviously Infiltrators are just so good at screening, and they can also do stuff like banners. Phobos, because they're Phobos, they can play both Smokescreen and Transhuman, and they can also guerrilla tactics as well, helping you take objectives in different places at the end of the game. I like Infiltrators a lot, and the Helix Gauntlet makes them more survivable. So while this list has very little durable, it's kept a lot of speed and a lot of killing power. And a 5-in-1 finish with a list like this at a big event is pretty impressive. I think I would struggle to do that, potentially. It's interesting, I've never played Mysterious Guardian Helverins, but I have played Helverins before and have played against Helverins, and I think there is some synergy there. It's I suppose it's equivalent of, like, we used to see quite often Blood Angels with like 2 Relic Contemptors or Blood Angels with 2 Redemptors, and that was pretty good. So I guess the Helverins are just a variant of that, and I guess the Helverins have OBSEC as well. So when you actually break it down, I mean, their OBSEC counts as 5. This list is basically the same as the last list, where everything has the ability to have OBSEC. I think the only thing that's potentially not OBSEC is your 10-point Acolyte. So if we break this list down for some scoring, well, firstly, I felt I definitely couldn't just look at a Flesh Tearers list and not a Blood Angels list. And I was really surprised that you could have a 10-point Acolyte that's protected about Lookout Sir. I don't know how that slipped past me for like 3 years of this edition. So he's got a ton of area of denial with 3 squads of Infiltrators. At the moment, I guess he's obviously got the sticky objective shenanigans. And you can be pretty aggressive with sticky objectives, as in, like, you deploy a squad of Infiltrators forward on an objective, knowing if you go first, you can instantly just pull them off the objective. Then that's your objective in no man's land, and you're not risking any models because the enemy has nothing to shoot at. Potentially nothing to charge at either. He's got that 6 jump units. There's 20 Infernal Pistols in there and the Wrath of Baal, and this is why I think you don't need 7-man. You don't need 3 times 7 Sangre Guard if you're backing it up with 20 Infernal Pistols. We've got 2 bubbles of mortal wound protection, one from the Priest, one for Soul Warden, so this is much more meta. We see this much more often. I've run this a bunch of times to tournaments through 9th. We've got the Armigers with Mysterious Guardians. I said they can arrive from turn 1, so it potentially, when you're deploying Armigers, you've got to remember they've got to be deployed next to each other because there's a rule that they deploy within 6 and then become their own units. Then we obviously have Overwatch Denial and Fight Last from the Whirlwind, which is worth its weight in gold into certain armies like Tau or Votann or maybe even Iron Hand, something that's going to crush you in Overwatch. The weakness of this list, having played it, is there's one invulnerable save in the Blood Angels part. It's on Dante. That's your only invulnerable save in the whole army. So if you run into like a giantly killy Sisters of Battle list where their whole list is -4, most of the time you're not getting to even roll saving throws, which in turn means you have a real lack of durability for holding objectives in the open, which in my experience, depending on the map, can be very difficult to deal with. I've talked about this before. Terrain, a list like this, especially in the Arcs of Omen season right now, may live or die on the terrain that you have on the board, so just be aware of that. Honestly, as much as I am more a Blood Angels fan, I think right now if I had to choose between the two, I would play the Flesh Tearers list. I think it's fun, it's different, and I just think that Blood Angels list, my opinion is I've run to tournaments, 2 Death Company, 3 Sangard, and a squad of Vanguard Veterans. I think I ran that exact thing. I remember my only fire support in that whole list was like 3 Eradicators. Maybe at a Whirlwind, or maybe I just had the Eradicators. The problem that I had was I come up against a fight on death army. So if your whole arm, and this was before all the free Infernal Pistols. I guess the free Infernal Pistols changes a little bit. But before them free Infernal Pistols, if you came up against a fight on death army, then you were going to have a pretty bad game. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are new here, then just remember, I'm John, the Blood Angels Commander, and every week we're going to be doing content to make you a better Blood Angels player on the battlefield, or, in this case, Flesh Tearers. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Were you at Warhammer Fest, or what do you think of these lists? Leave me a comment down below. If there's something you're desperate to see video-wise before 10th edition, let me know. Otherwise, we will be rolling into 10th edition very, very soon, probably less than a month. The rumour is pre-order on the 10th of June, and then after that, new content will be coming on the channel every couple of weeks. Thanks again for watching. I will catch you guys in the next video. By the blood are we made strong. Peace.